Tagline in a flash. So I'm the Marketing Savta. Most of you know me, and I brainstorm dilemmas to solutions. I work with clients, mostly women, and help them build their marketing messaging, help them attack various marketing problems and dilemmas. It's a lot of fun. I started off doing what I call coffee clutches back in the day when we could meet face to face. And then I went on to Zoom. So over a cup of coffee, we spend the time talking about a particular marketing problem you might have. And my goal is to give my clients actionable solutions, things that they can walk away with, that they can tick off a list of to-do lists that will help them solve whatever the dilemma is. My background is, of course, 40 years in high tech, starting off as a hardcore programmer. I mean, really hardcore. And then moving into software, moving into marketing. I spent 20 years in Silicon Valley doing marketing in startups, small companies, and a couple of big companies as well. So that's who I am. What are we going to do today? Today, I'm going to talk to you about your tagline and building a tagline or improving your tagline. And we're going to look at different types of taglines. Tagline could also be a slogan, called a slogan, if you will. I call it a tagline, and most people in the marketing arena do also call it taglines, but you might call it a slogan. And we're going to, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of fun things about taglines and show you some examples, and we'll have a little bit of fun with it. And then at the end, we're going to go into breakout rooms, and you'll be able to either create your tagline, share your tagline with people with your partner in the breakout room, improve your tagline, and then, of course, I'm offering to help you offline if you wish to deal with to improve your tagline and your messaging platform altogether. So, what is a tagline? Basically, it's a short phrase, usually 3 to 5, 6 words. Sometimes they're longer, but mostly 3 to 6 words is the best way to make a tagline. And it just introduces your company to the world. It kind of communicates who you are, what your mission is, what your product is about. And so it's sort of the thing that people see. I mean, you put it on your business card. It's probably the words that go on the tab of the browser when somebody comes to your website. And that's basically what you use a tagline for. Why do you need a tagline? Well, in my opinion, the only job of a tagline is to get attention, to make people come to you and say, what does that mean? How do you do that? Similar to a 30-second spiel where you introduce who you are, what you're doing. You want to provoke conversation with the tagline. So that's why. So what is the message of a tagline? Basically, as I said, you want to make sure you communicate your purpose. You want the message to be on brand. You don't want to suddenly be talking something about over here when everything else you're talking about is over there. And of course, you want it to be compelling. You want it to compel people to ask, tell me more, tell me more. Okay, so I talk about something I call the marketing platform or the messaging platform. Where does the tagline fit in that? Well, it's part of the whole platform. You have your vision. Your vision talks about, or your mission in life. What is your business about? What are you selling? What is the difference that you're making in the world? Okay. You have your brand, and your brand is, your name, your logo, SEO words that you want to use. You have your unique selling proposition, your USP or your value add, whatever you want to call it, depends on the kind of business that you have as to how you call it. But it's what makes you special. Why should somebody hire you? Why should somebody buy you rather than the person down the street? And of course, you have your key messages, and these are the things that you sprinkle around your website and any of your Facebook posts, your Instagram posts, whatever other kinds of social media posts that you have, any kind of marketing collateral, if anybody does that anymore. And then you have your elevator pitch, right? And that's your 30-second spiel. And your 30-second spiel, really like tells people in a very concise way who you are and what you're doing. And at the very bottom, if you will, is the tagline. And the way I look at it, it's like a funnel. Your vision is this big, broad, has a lot of words. And as you work through your marketing platform, you concise until you get to the tagline. Lesley, were there some questions that came up in the chat that people wanted to ask so far?
No, I don't see anything.
Okay,
no
the chat or
questions
just the introductions. Okay.
Yeah, so you can keep going.
Okay. So I talk about 3 different types of taglines: the aspirational tagline, the wordplay tagline, and the descriptive tagline. And of course, you can combine the 2 types, the types. So first, let's talk about aspirational. What is an aspirational tagline? Basically, it's a vision message. It often becomes iconic. Okay. It's less about what you do and more about, the aspirational of what people will get if they buy your product. Okay. It's usually used by big brand names because it really requires a huge amount of marketing investment and promotion in order for it to become relevant, because people need to know what you already do in order to understand what it means. So here, I apologize to all of those who are not American. I use American brands, but you get it. Okay. So, I mean,
they're worldwide anyway, even if they're not American, we all know them if we're not American.
Right. This is my point of this particular one, okay? Everybody knows McDonald's, so they can say, I'm loving it, which I think is they've replaced this since I as their tagline since I put this together. But that was, they would put out little commercials that say, McDonald's, I'm loving it, or whatever they say. Coke right now is saying, refresh the world. They used to say the real thing, but you already need to know that Coke is a drink in order to understand what this is. And then of course the ubiquitous just do it from Nike. But you understand that with an aspirational tagline, you need to already have a presence in the market. You need to be recognized already before you can really successfully use such a tagline. Okay. Next is what I call wordplay. And basically, it plays off a word in your company name. So if your company name is descriptive, which most of us are probably under our personal names, but I don't know, some of us aren't. This can be a useful way of putting out a tagline. It works best if the name means something, obviously. I mean, Google now means something, but when they first started, it was just like this weird word, and people were misspelling it all the time and that sort of thing. But Facebook, it's a book of faces. So, they could have a tagline that plays off of their name. I have 2 examples. GoDaddy, it's go time. Somewhat aspirational also, you need to know what GoDaddy does. Sharp, I like theirs, Sharp Minds, Sharp Products. So they have Sharp Minds sitting there in the back, in the back of their company, creating sharp products, right? It's a nice tagline. It's memorable and it makes people say, so what kind of products do they make that might be sharp? What kind of sharp products do they make that I might want to buy? Okay. So now the last kind of last type of a tagline is what I call a descriptive tagline. And basically, obviously, a descriptive tagline is, true to your company mission, like the one that Lesley uses. It's biz. I've forgotten it. I don't see it on here.
Right. So as we were talking earlier, so my and looking at how you've analyzed, so either descriptive or the wordplay, is my main one is build and brand your biz. Okay.
Right.
And then my other one, which I use on the website as well, in addition to build and brand your biz and in all my email communications, is creating new opportunities, creating solutions. But that doesn't, as you explained now, that doesn't describe exactly what I do, but the build and brand your biz does. In other words, so one you could consider maybe an aspirational tagline, and the others could be either a wordplay or descriptive in terms of how
So it's definitely descriptive. Build your brand, build your biz.
Right, that is,
yeah. The other one is also descriptive. It's in my mind, I think it's descriptive because it tells people what you do, as opposed to the wordplay or the aspirational, which you sort of need to know a little bit about what the company does. And obviously, a descriptive tagline works best for those of us who are startups, freelancers, and smaller, lesser known companies that haven't invested huge amounts of marketing. But we do have a couple of big names that actually use a descriptive. Disney, the happiest place on earth, eBay, the world's online marketplace, and Target, expect more, pay less. So yeah, okay. And so those are the three types: aspirational, wordplay, and descriptive. And then of course, you can combine depending on what your brand is about and how it all works. I use this one, better living, which is aspirational, through chemistry, which is descriptive because they do chemistry. And it works for just about anybody. You know, I think maybe Lesley, the second tagline that you told to us is probably a combination kind of a tagline, and it can work. It doesn't require huge marketing investment for people to recognize it and to understand it. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Oh, look at the chat or the questions in the chat. Okay.
So let's
Does anybody?
All right, let me remove the spotlight for a moment so we can also people can see each other in the on the side. All right, so let's have a look right now. So we've had basically people are putting their URLs, etc. So let's look at the last one, actually, Lisa, creative solutions for respectful aging. So how would you analyze that tagline? And if this is the place that you'd like to analyze, or if you want to hold it for later, up to you, Shifra. And in terms of the types of taglines, how would you, if you do want to answer that now, which of the three would you say it is? Or which combination?
So this is definitely a descriptive, but with a little bit of a combination of aspirational in it. We all have aspirational, I think, in some sense, but we don't make it the main thing. This one, creative solutions for respectful aging. I like it. It's on point. It makes me say, oh, what are those solutions? How does that help me? I'm aging. I want to know. How do you make my aging better? Yeah, I like it. It's very good, Lisa. Very good.
Okay. Does anybody looking here at some others? Great, Lisa. Way to go. All right. Yeah, Jillian wrote what she does. I'm not sure if this is your tagline, or feel free to add if you have another tagline, Jill. So she wrote embodied sound healing. So that's more what you do. Do you have another tagline?
Hi, yeah, as well. I just added it at the bottom of the chat, but I realize obviously it's aspirational, but I'm not known, so people might not know what that means. But one of the slogans I use is it's sound healing and it's tune into you. But people might not know what that means, but it is.
Right. So I'm looking at it, and we can go into it in more detail in the breakout room. Sure. Maybe it's working for you, but it's a little bit vague because I don't really understand what you do. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would probably ask you what you do and that sort of thing. Look at Elizabeth's breaking free from.
Right. I was going to say, that's great. Breaking free from binge eating.
That's great because it says right on. I mean, if I'm a binge eater, I know I can go to Elizabeth and she's going to help me break free from that. Okay.
I had a tweet 3 seconds ago. You've just inspired me.
Oh, good. Okay. Versus Jillian, I'm not really sure.
No, I agree.
if I'm
Yeah.
your client or not, and we can work on it together, you know.
No,
Right,
you
that's
helped
what you're
me.
here for, Jill. That's what everyone's here for. If you don't have a tagline,
No, you
that's what you're
totally
here
helped
for.
me understand the difference between like like that's something I would do after people knew what I did.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're starting out, you really need to be a little bit more descriptive so people know whether they're a client or not.
Well, the first one I wrote is descriptive, but I didn't think it sounded like a tagline. It's just, embodied sound healing. So I don't know if that is enough.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's go on and continue with the presentation. At the end, we get, we'll get to the point of actually going over each one. So taglines. Okay.
Right.
So. Ooh. Okay. So, all right. So, so I talked about how, right now, most of us are small businesses and we need to use a tagline that is descriptive. Now, over the years, a company may have an evolution of their tagline. So I pulled out a few from Apple Computer. Back in the late 80s when they first started, they used the tagline, "Bite into an apple." So this is cute because at that time, people didn't know much about computers, but they knew this word "bite" had something to do with computers. So it said, we're a computer company and our company name is Apple, okay? By the mid, all our faces are uncovering this and I need to move it, sorry. Okay, by the mid 80s, PCs and computers were a little bit more recognized, but still they were mysterious. And Apple started promoting themselves as the computer for the rest of us. At that time, if you wanted to buy a computer, you had to go to a store and put all the components together, and you had to know something, you had to be a hobbyist. You had to be a guru, but with Apple, you just went to the Apple store. Well, they didn't have stores, but just went and they sold that first Apple computer with that ugly block that had everything inside it, and people who bought Apples just bought an Apple. They didn't have a lot of options, and said they promoted that as being a good thing. You don't have to think about it, just buy an Apple. Now we get to the early 90s and people are buying PCs, and Apple has a reputation. They've been selling into the educational market quite a lot at this point. So people are seeing it. And so now they start to go a bit more aspirational in their tagline, the power to be your best. And they've been promoting themselves. They're very, very popular amongst the art and graphic designer and the education market. So, the power to be your best. Also in 1990, at that point in the computer business, there was this battle going on between what was a powerful enough computer versus what was a computer that was easy to use. So they're trying to say, we're powerful enough and you can use us to do this. And then, of course, at the end of the 90s, by then, the web is out there and they're doing other things besides computers. And this totally aspirational, think different. My father hated this. He's like, think differently. Bad English. I'll talk a little bit about that. Bad English is okay. It doesn't have to be a beautiful sentence. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. Think different is such a strong tagline, and they still use it in a lot of their stuff. They have other taglines in between, but this is a very powerful tagline, and it really, really speaks to what their brand is and to who they are. And Steve Jobs was like really, really into, we do it from the other way. We do it from everybody else is developing from this side to this side, and we're going to develop from that side to this side. So it really worked for them. So you can see how over the years, it went from something that was very descriptive until it became very aspirational. But by the time they started with Think Different, everybody knew what Apple was. And they no longer confused it with Apple Records, which back in the late 70s, people were like, Apple, what? Because Apple Records was, when somebody said Apple, people thought Apple Records. which was the Beatles recording thing. Okay.
By the way, Shifra, that noise in the background, is it from you? Because I've muted everybody else. I think
Yeah,
it's from you,
me.
right?
Yeah, it's from me. The next door neighbors are doing Seaman.
Okay. I just wanted to check,
it-
because from what I could see, everyone else was muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
No
it
problem.
really bad?
No, I just wanted to check if it was someone else that I was perhaps not seeing. Don't worry about it. We'll keep going.
Okay, good. So, as I said, your tagline should, talk about your brand, your vision, who you are, and what you're doing. Okay. So these are three taglines from insurance companies, and they present three different, very different brand messages. Okay. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. This is like, that State Farm has your back, right? Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know their reputation anymore, but but that's what the tagline says. We're there for you. Something bad happens, you've got our insurance. We're going to be there. We'll be the first people on site. We'll give you all the help you need. Prudential says, get a piece of the rock. They're all about stability, about what is the rock. I think they use an image of Gibraltar as their logo. It's like, it's solid. They're solid. You can trust them. They're solid, and that may be important to you. And lastly, we have Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. They're all about budget. Okay, if money is important to you, then you're going to go to Geico for your insurance, because their tagline says they're going to save you a lot of money. Which one do you go with? Well, obviously there's more to it than just their tagline that makes you decide, but which one of these three companies are you going to call first? Well, if you're on a tight budget, you're going to call Geico first. But if you're living in the Midwest and you want somebody of the US and you want somebody that feels like a neighbor, then you're going to call State Farm first. Okay? All three of them are successful, but do you see how the tagline communicates the company's brand message? And there are three very different kinds of branding. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is show you three taglines. Two of them I really like, and one of them I don't. And I'm going to explain why. Okay, because as I said, and these are small startups that I've worked with myself. Okay, so the first one is a company called The Raw Stone, and some of you may know it. And their tagline is "Peace of Earth, Peace of Mind." The Raw Stone sells rings, mostly rings, and some other jewelry, and mostly diamond, but some other kinds of gems. But all of their gemstones are ethically sourced. That is, you will get a certificate telling you which mine, who pulled the stone out of the ground. As you probably all know, diamond mining business it's horrible. It's a horrible business. So what they're doing is giving you peace of mind when you buy a piece of earth. Their target market is mostly late 20s, 30s somethings with disposable income that want to buy things that make them feel good about their social, the social well-being kind of stuff. So this is an excellent. I love this this tagline, and I hope Karen never changes. Okay. This one, DrizzleX, Smarter Water Conservation. This company I worked with at Mass Challenge, they make a small water meter device that they install right at where the water comes up into the sink, the toilet, or the shower. Their target market is apartment buildings, and the water meters have wireless that communicates back to a computer in the building, the water usage for each apartment. Their idea is that You could have a contest between the different apartments. You know, people will start conserving water when they know other people are seeing how much water that they're using. And also in the US, water is usually not a separate item. You don't pay, it's included in your rent. So people who have a rental buildings are very often losing water. And the woman who runs this thing, she said in their research, they found that single men in their 20s and 30s that live in apartments by themselves are the worst users of water because because they use the toilet as a trash can. Every time they blow their nose, every time they finish smoking a cigarette, they throw it into the trash can, into the toilet, and they flush. Once that she installed this in one of her buildings in the LA area, water usage like plummeted. Because suddenly these guys were seeing that they were using all this stuff. So this is a good tagline. I would suggest that she add something about, you know, apartments or that kind of thing, just to hone in on what they're doing. Okay, this one, miracles, innovation in healthcare. This is the one I don't like, obviously, because just about any healthcare company can say innovations in healthcare. Right? What does Miracles do? What's so special about them? They're innovative, for sure. They have developed a powder that comes in small packets that's put into the kit for what are they called? the guys who go out into the field to take care of when they're in excuse me, senior moment. Okay. When the paramedics, okay, the paramedics go and they're taking care of wounded people, and very, very often people bleed out to death because there's no way to stop the bleeding, or they get infections and stuff. This is a little packet of a powder. They dump it onto the open wound. It basically, it sterilizes and cauterizes the wound long enough to stabilize the patient to get them back to, you know, to an operating environment. It's great. It's fabulous. Why don't they say something like, stop bleeding, we stop bleeding on the battlefield, or something like that. That's why this doesn't really work for them. Okay. What's my next thing? Okay. So,
Shifra, do you want to analyze one more before we go to the creating taglines? One more that came into the chat, or you want to wait for that?
Do you want me to do that now, or do you want to?
Up to you. I think it could be good to have a little bit of a break from the slides just for 1 second to do it.
Okay. I was just about to say, are there any questions? So.
All right. Good. All right. So Lauren,
this is
if you want us to analyze your tagline, we'd like to see you. You want to open your camera? We'll do it anyway, even if you can't open it, but it will be great to see you.
Turn right this way.
All right, good. So Lauren's tagline, Lauren has 2 businesses. So her tagline is turn right with the word right, W-R-I-T-E. This way, boutique content agency, biographies, grant applications, marketing materials, money, memories, and motion. All right. Is that too long? Does it tell us what she does?
Well, it's way too long.
Well, I was just like, I would say I was just describing my business.
Like what you do, okay.
Yeah, and but my tagline itself would just be the money, memories, and motion. And yeah, just that's what I can bring to you, to my clients, is more money.
So turn right this way is the name of your business?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So then we need a tagline to go with that, and you're thinking money, memories, and motion?
Right. And I was thinking, before I had momentum, and then I was just now I just decided to change it to motion, just from listening to you.
I'd like to talk to you longer about this, because I think it's not a minute and a half.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, for our first pass, this is great. And then spend some time refining and making it really more powerful. And
Okay.
I'm not really sure. Turn right this way. Okay, so I know you're writing because you wrote it as right that way. But what is money, memories, and motion? I mean, memories,
So-
okay, so you're writing memories. Money, I'm not
Right.
sure I know. And
So from
motion,
the
I'm not really sure I
marketing-
know. You know, so I understand what you're doing here. Money, you're
Right.
doing the grant applications part
Right,
of your business,
right.
right?
And then marketing is, the motion is for marketing, because the only way to get a business going is to have, the proper marketing
Right.
material.
It could use a little bit of work, but it's a great place to start.
Right. And Shifra, I just want to add one thing. We discussed this beforehand, that even if we're discussing someone in particular's tagline, you can all learn from it because of Shifra's critique of the things that work and the things that don't work. So, instead of saying, oh, it's not related to me, listen to her comments that she's saying on other people's taglines, because we can all learn from it and it can benefit our own. Okay. All right. Should we move on?
Yeah. Okay. So, so we've talked about why you need a tagline. I've given you several ideas of good taglines and bad taglines, the ways to go about it. So now I want to talk about 3 specific methods of creating a tagline. Okay. The first one is derive your tagline from your mission statement. And I'm going to detail these in the next slide. So I'm just going to give you an overview here, which is this workshop was developed for the Mass Challenge Accelerator program. So this was the method that we used there, but it's not necessarily like driven in stone that you have to do that. Okay. The second method is to derive from your client feedback and testimonials. And the third is to derive from your SEO words. Okay. Okay, so how do you do from your mission statement? So you take your mission statement or your vision statement, whatever it is, it's big, has a lot of words, and you want to reduce and reduce and reduce until you get to the words that are key to what the vision of your business is about. And then you take those words and you wordsmith them into a tagline. And I'll describe more about what I mean by wordsmithing as we go on. Lesley, do you see that? Okay. And this is a quick method. It is very quick. You can sit down for 10 minutes, you and your partners, if you have, take the vision statement and a highlighter and go and come up with a tagline. So it's pretty nice. The second one I mentioned is to derive from client feedback and testimonials. I would say this is, take the last 6 months of feedback that you've had from your clients, from, success stories, whatever it is, look for repeated words and themes. What seems to constantly come up? I was in a workshop with a digital marketing expert, I won't name names, but she kept on giving examples from clients of hers. And it was like every single one of the stories used this concept. They kept talking about this same theme over and over and over again. And afterwards, I went up to her and I said, your tagline really should use this phrase as your theme, because all of your clients are saying that about you. I worked with another client who we were going through this process. We were looking at her testimonials, and she said, the last person that I worked with said, and she's a business coach. She said, it's like you give me all this really good hardcore business advice, and then you help me. You give it to me with a hug. So we crafted a tagline that was like hardcore business advice, with a hug. I mean, that's not exactly the words that we use, but that's what I mean by taking your client feedback. Look for a theme, you know. Maybe Sharon is a photographer. Maybe a lot of the people who she gets feedback for say, you know, something along the lines of brilliant photographs or something like that, you know, maybe brilliant or flashing or, you know, light, full of light kind of might be a theme in the feedback she gets, and she could use that for her tagline. Okay. And the final way is to take your SEO keywords. Now, if you've got a business where you really have sat down and pulled together a list of SEO keywords and looked in the thesaurus for various synonyms for those keywords, sit down and list them in priority, and then take the top 3 and see how you can wordsmith those into a tagline. Okay, so those are the 3 ways: mission statement, test client feedback, SEO keywords. All right. Now, what do I mean by wordsmith your tagline? I'm going to use a couple famous examples. This is not a caveat. This is not how they came up with their tagline. It's just me inventing to give you the idea. Okay, so Nike. Their key message is, you know, do sports in our shoes. Wear our shoes when you're doing sports, you know, buy our shoes, right? So maybe they start and say, wear our shoes when you play. That's a nice tagline. That's a good tagline for when they were starting out, because who knew what Nike did, right? But it's not very strong or powerful. Okay. So then maybe they say, oh, play sports with us. That's fun. That's nice. Play with us. Okay. So then they come up with, let's do it, right? Okay, let's do it. It's a little bit, it's strong. It's enticing, but they changed that let's to just do it. And as we all know, just do it has become not just the tagline from Nike, but you see it stolen everywhere. I mean, you know, it's used for so many other things. It's a very, very powerful tagline. And it's aspirational. They spent a lot of money to promote it. But you can see how the thought process, okay, of how you come up with words to get to something that really is punching. Okay. Now, the second one I wanted to, let's talk about Disney. Their message is, you know, visit and have fun. For a vacation place, come and have fun. So, a place to have fun. Well, there's lots of places to have fun. You could go to the beach and have fun, you know, you can go skiing and have fun. It's not very specific. It's not very powerful, punchy. Okay. So let's change fun to happy, a happy place. And McDonald's actually used this in one of their ads back in, maybe in the 90s. McDonald's is a happy place. So that again, it's sort of like, it's nice, but it doesn't compel me to come to Disney. So maybe I say, instead of a happy place, I say happiest place. Wouldn't you want to go to the happiest place? Of course you would. But actually they say the happiest place on earth. They're the happiest place on earth. Where else would you go to be happy, to have fun? But Disney. And notice how the words on the logo are just slightly arced to imply that their castle is sitting on top of the globe of the earth. They're the happiest place on earth. So you see how you build up, you know, you look at the words, you try to find punchier words and punchier words and punchier words as you go along. Okay. So that's what I mean by wordsmith. It's a word that I use. It's a term that I use. Other people probably use it too. I don't know where I got it. It's not necessarily like a technical word, but there you go. Okay. So now here's where I was going to stop and say, explain how we're going to do the hands-on project. All right. Tagline from a vision statement. I've sort of already implied this. Step one, you write your vision statement. If you don't have one, you got to do that. But okay, take your vision statement, trim it down to the essentials, and then, hello, there you go. And then electrify the message. I actually, earlier, before I went with brainstorm dilemmas to solutions, I was focusing more on messaging, and I used electrify your marketing message as my tagline. The idea of just really pumping it up and making it exciting. Okay, so now I'm going to give you an example. And again, this is not the tagline that Mass Challenge uses, but because I created this presentation for Mass Challenge, I used their mission statement to show these 3 steps. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This is their vision statement. Mass Challenge Israel brings cutting-edge technologies of the I have to move this thing out of the way again. Of the startup nation to a global community of multinational businesses, innovators, philanthropists, and public sector stakeholders. Our startups are leveraging the best of startup nation to create tools for a better, more connected world with a proven no strings attached model and global reach. Mass Challenge works to reprioritize impact and to put value creation at the heart of the global economy. This is their mission, and they do a fabulous job of doing it. And I wouldn't change anything about their vision statement. Okay, but step 2, let's trim it down a bit. Here are the essentials from my point of view. A proven no strings attached model. They do not take equity. One of the few accelerator programs that do not take equity in the startups. So that's important to their business. Okay. Our startups are leveraging the best of startup nation. They're here in Israel to create the tools for a better and more connected world. Pretty good. So let's just say, electrify their message, leveraging the best of the startup nation for a better world. Again, this is not their tagline, but this is a really strong tagline that tells you exactly what they're doing. Okay, they're making a better world by leveraging the best that we, Israel, the startup nation, have to offer. So this is what I want you to do. Okay, I want you to take your vision statement. I want you to trim it down to the essentials, and I want you to electrify your message. But since you all already have some, we're going to do breakouts now, Lesley. And why don't we create some breakout rooms, and everybody can just sort of like talk about what they have, or maybe walk through this process. Try to, or use one of the other processes of using your customer testimonial ideas or your SEO words, and come up with a couple of ideas for a tagline, or changing your tagline, or improving your existing tagline, and just work together with a partner in the breakout room, focusing on tagline.
So the key takeaways, and we talked about this, was a tagline is used to introduce and create attention. There are 3 types of taglines that we talked about, and most of you have good descriptive taglines so far, the ones that I've heard. And finally, if you have a mission statement, you can create a tagline very easily. All right, that's it. So this is how you can contact me. My website is shifrastearman.com, or you can get me directly on Gmail at smstearman55@gmail. .com. And here's what I'm going to do here's what I do. This is what I do for a living, is I don't make a living at this. Anyone who's interested in spending an hour with me is welcome to go to my website and fill out the little form so that you get officially into my database. And we'll set up an hour, and we'll go over whatever you need to go over: your company name, your messaging platform, your tagline, your 30-second spiel, whatever you want to do. We'll spend an hour, and when you leave that hour, I'm hoping you'll walk away with some really good actions that you can take that will solve those dilemmas for you, and then you can move on to building your business from there.